Hello, welcome to another edition of the Global E-League Show. I'm your host Del and I'm joined once again by FIFA 18 analyst and coach Luke. Now we will bring you goals, we'll bring you action, we'll give you everything that you need from a FIFA 18 show. If you like the last two, you'll love this one. Now our first match of the night is between Northampton and West Ham. Northampton need to avoid defeat to go through, but West Ham need a victory to leapfrog Northampton. Can the Hammers do it? Let's see.
Reapers knew he didn't have to win this game to go through, but looked very nervy from the off. It was almost as if Jambo sensed Reapers' uncertainty and went for the jugular. A clever ball from Lozano over the top set Carl Walker through. The fullback played it square to Henry, who threaded the ball to Sane. Moments later, West Ham were ahead. Things went from bad to worse for Reapers when Dennis Bergkamp found David Alaba in acres of space, who fired it past the keeper to make it 2-0. The game wasn't even 25 minutes old and Reapers was against the ropes. Sane won the second ball on the edge of the box to play Alaba, and his cross was volleyed by Lozano, forcing De Gea into a fine save. Dennis Bergkamp was in fine form, constantly pulling defenders out of position and creating space. Pretty soon the Dutchman had a hand in another goal. His clever ball to Goretzka was well controlled and fired into the top corner. Another unstoppable finish. 3-0 West Ham. Jambo was in the mood for a scoring spree but made the mistake of committing too many men forward and it cost him before half time. Ronaldinho began a rare counter-attack for Reapers, finding Hernandez. The Mexican played it through to Neymar, who raced past Ferdinand and Boateng. The Brazilian almost took one touch too many but managed to find the net. Reapers started the second half like he ended the first with a goal. Ronaldinho played a 1-2 with Ashley Young before finding Neymar, and the Brazilian returned the favour to Hernandez, playing him in to make it 3-2. Game on, or so it would seem. Jambo's lead was down to a solitary goal, but if it was a test of character, he passed with flying colours when a minute after the restart, his 2-goal lead was restored. A combination of Bergkamp, Goretzka and Sane led to a goal for Henry at the second attempt. With half an hour to play, Jambo made it 5-2. A patient build-up down the right led to an instinctive pass to Henry by Lozano, and the Frenchman fired in from 7 yards out. Reapers was then handed a lifeline thanks to a questionable penalty decision by the referee. Perhaps justice was done when Ronaldinho's spot kick was saved. Northampton grabbed a third from the resulting corner when Son prodded in Mane's pass. A fourth for Northampton with 2 minutes to go threatened to make it a nervy end to the game for Jambo, but Mane's goal was too little too late. West Ham go through at Northampton's expense.
Wow, there you go, 5-4. We promise goals, we deliver goals. 9 goals in this game. What happened, Luke? Because I've been sitting here watching it, going over and over again with the analysis, wondering where it went wrong for Reapers. And I'm thinking he looked nervy, he looked shaky. He went a goal down, he didn't know how to recover. What's your take on the game, mate?
Well, when Jabba went 3 goals up in quite early succession and they were very close together, I think that kind of was the knockout blow. But then when he regained his composure and managed to grab 2 back, I think he overdone it. He didn't just go for it, if you know what I mean. He sort of sat back, allowed Jambo to pressure him. Well, when you're 3-2 down, you don't do that because obviously you need that crucial goal. But it happened. He's got a lot of positives to take from the game. He played very well. He's played well throughout the tournament. He was one of my guys to watch.
Right.
And I hope to see more of this guy, to be honest.
Right. Well, the thing is, what I noticed about Reapers is that he allowed Jambo's fullbacks to overlap. He was constantly ball watching. He was letting them get in behind him. And time again, it was the same combination. It was Valencia. It was Alaba. He just did not know how to stop him. Now, as a coach yourself, as an analyst, what do you suggest to people like that who want to defend against a side with attacking fullbacks? How do you defend against it?
You just need to sit back a bit more, pressure the ball, don't allow them to overlap. Watch it. You need to learn the game. You need to also, how do I put it? Like, if he's going to be obvious, you need to spot that and adapt to it very quickly.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, look, okay, let's talk about Jambo then, because free scoring, loves getting on the score sheet. We saw his opening game, he scored 4, he scored 5 today. But defensively, he's another one that's susceptible to errors. His 2 central defenders play very close together. He also plays a very high line, so he's running the risk of being caught out, balls over the top, as we saw with Neymar's goal. Again, what is with this attack-minded, gung-ho mentality? I don't understand. I know it's working in terms of getting goals, but surely the defensive side needs to be looked into, needs to be improved.
Yeah, the defensive side definitely needs to be improved. As you see with the first goal, Neymar just ripped straight through his centre-backs like they weren't even there. So I think he's using some sort of tactics in game which might not be working for his centre-backs because, as you said, they're too close together, which makes them susceptible to be split open very easily.
If that's the case, then surely that's a concern going forward, especially into tournament mode. When you come to the knockouts, it's a completely different kettle of fish. You've got one game and one game only. Group stages, as we've seen with other competitors, you can afford to lose a game. You can afford to lose one game and win the other 2 and possibly go through in goal difference or maybe see the other results go your own way, fine. But in knockout competition, keeping clean sheets or keeping the score down is vital. So how can Jambo, change his philosophy so that he can remain attack-minded but also solve that defensive aspect?
I think what he needs to do is he needs to just calm himself down when he's in the game. Because from me, yeah, he looks absolutely class going forward, but as you said, in the defensive mind, he's a bit shaky, if you know what I mean. But I think when it gets into tournament play, he's an experienced player, so I think it'll all sort of click together. I think this is just his warm-up session, and I think it'll all start to go back to normal when it gets into the money.
Well, look, to be fair, I think Jambo's a fantastic player. As I said before, very entertaining, very gung-ho, loves to attack, and that's what the viewer loves to see. We love to see attacking football, we love to see goals. But my main concern, and the one thing that for me is going to stop him from winning the tournament, is his defensive incapability, so to speak. I'm not saying he's terrible at defending, but again, you cannot be conceding goals in the manner that he did. As I said, those 2 central defenders were too static, they were too close to each other, and time again, when you're coming across better players, with the greatest respect to Reapers, when you're coming across better players who have a more attack-minded or more concentrated method, he'll come unstuck, unfortunately. That's just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong, but that's the way I see things.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct on that. I think defensively, he looks shaky. Could that affect him? I actually don't think so, but we'll see in the later rounds.
Great stuff. Game 2 sees a must-win game for Marlot against XL Painter. Can Marlot end XL Painter's winning streak?
Painter won his opening 2 games and showed in the early stages of this game how confident and assured he is on the ball. In fact, Marlot didn't see any of the ball until the 6th minute. A sign of things to come, perhaps? Painter was getting his fullbacks forward as much as possible, and Jordi Alba caused havoc when he burst forward, finding Ruud Gullit, whose shot was saved, as was Henri's rebound. Antonio Valencia's marauding run into space opened up the pitch even more, and he found Ronaldo. CR7's left foot shot didn't trouble the keeper much though. It wasn't long before Painter made the pressure count. Jordi Alba was again involved in an attack, feeding Gullit, who laid it off to Ronaldo. One touch to control, and a left foot drive put XL in front. Marlet looked laboured, and the closest he came to scoring was a cross into the box that was cleared. The second half started with Marlet in possession, but Excel's 2 banks of 4 kept him at bay. Stuttgart were chasing the game, sending men forward in the hope of grabbing an equaliser. A 3-on-3 situation occurred when Henry charged into the Stuttgart half. No one tracked Hullit's 30-yard dash, and the Dutchman took 2 players out of position before playing in Ronaldo, who made no mistake. 2-0 XL. This sparked Marlet into life, and a lovely passage of play led to a penalty conceded by Alba. Ronaldo uncharacteristically connected with minimal power, and his penalty was comfortably saved. Painter knew he had the game in the bag and continued to push forward with Alba. Ruud Gullit controlled well in the box, but his shot was too close to the keeper. Marlet was back in the game with 10 minutes to go though. CR7's cross found R9, who volleyed into the bottom corner. Stuttgart may have been back in the game, but were limited to crosses into the box that were easily dealt with. Painter could and probably should have made it 3-1 in stoppage time when Ronaldo broke through, but his shot was poor.
Okay, so a very good victory for Painter, mate. 2-1. I know the scoreline didn't really reflect the performance, because for me, it was extremely one-sided. He was very, very composed, very dominant was Painter. And Marlet, don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic player, but he just couldn't get in the game, could he?
No, absolutely not. From the get-go, Painter was just on him straight away. For the first 10 minutes, all you saw was Painter passing the ball, pass. He looked unreal. I think Marlet just, as you said, just didn't get a chance in the early stages to get hold of the ball, get a feel for it. So I think in that term, he come unstuck, and that's why he sort of led to him losing the match.
That's right. And look, same goes with the previous game with Jambo. The attacking fullbacks that Painter possesses, Alaba was absolutely fantastic. And also the 2 men in the middle of the park, Mateus and Gullit, very composed, very dominant in the middle of the park. This is the thing, that's why I think Painter will stand a better chance of winning this tournament than Jambo, in the sense that he's more compact, but he's also got that presence in the middle of the park, and he seems more confident. And as we saw against Marlo, who, again, I said before, is a fantastic player, absolutely dominant. It wasn't a 2-1 scoreline, it should have been 3 or 4-0, to be fair.
Yeah, I agree. It should have been about 4, maybe 5 actually. Some chances that Painter didn't take. But Marlet, as we said already, just didn't get a chance to get into the game, unfortunately. I think that would have been, if Marlet was on top form, obviously, he's just gone to FEWC. That could have put a bit of stress on him, obviously, going into the tournament. So hopefully he's going to regain now. But yeah, as you said, Gullit, Mateus, 2 of the best central midfielders on the game. Gullit is an absolute monster. When you need him to show up, he will play that perfect through ball to one of the strikers or the winger, and it's just game on from there. It'll be a goal straight away.
Okay, so was Painter that good, or was Marlet that bad?
No, Painter was that good.
Yeah, okay.
That's just honesty.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, well look, we saw how dominant Painter was. He's dominated the group, 3 wins on the bounce. I know that we've done the whole kiss of death thing before with Dragon and a few others. But how far do you think Painter can go? Because he's had a fantastic season overall in FIFA, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a fantastic season. He's done very well in Barcelona. I am actually saying he's probably my favourite to win it now, since Dragon let me down. But yeah, I'm going to say Painter to win the whole tournament.
Excellent, brilliant, great stuff. So one more thing before we move on, Luke. Marlet. Is it a case of going back to the drawing board? Is it a case of looking at how he's performed in this competition and saying to himself, right, this is where I've gone wrong. This is where I can improve. This is how I'm going to improve. As a coach, what's your stance on Marlott?
I think he needs to take this experience with him. With his weekend league, obviously, he's looking more into getting qualified for Gfinity, etc. But I think this whole experience for him has been, I don't know really, it's been really, really hard for him. He hasn't got the results that he's needed, obviously. It doesn't show the type of player he is because he's an absolute monster of a player. But I think he needs to just get back to the drawing board, focus on qualifying and getting on LAN and just doing what he does best.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I was very surprised that he didn't progress when you got the two Ronaldos up front. And as you know, they're two of the best players in the game. I just think he was unlucky, to be fair. He started off pretty well. But as you said, perhaps his mind was elsewhere. You never know.
100%.
Stuttgart's defeat meant Groningen's fate was in their own hands. But could they beat Jack and Hibs, a side that have really impressed despite the table saying otherwise? Let's see how it goes.
The opening 7 minutes resembled the opening round of a boxing match whereby both teams were feeling each other out without committing much from an attacking perspective. It didn't take long for Groningen to take the lead. Ronaldo produced some fine trickery on the edge of the box, sending Alaba to the chip shot before firing past the keeper. Jack wasn't to be held down and pulled level moments later. Some great work by Valencia down the right allowed Neymar to run into space, and when he was put through, there was only going to be one outcome. The one thing you can't do in this competition is dwell on the ball, and Rijkaard's poor touch led to Groningen second. Nainggolan found Hullet, who fed the ball to Alessandrini, and it was 2-1. Rijkaard atoned for his error moments later by combining well with Neymar to find Bale. The Welshman swiveled his body to the left and fired home with his right boots. Groningen threatened a third before half-time, but it came to nothing. Jack looked to have changed his system a little in the second half as he got men behind the ball looking to stifle Nick. However, Groningen looked stronger and quicker than Hibs. This factor played a huge part in their third. Vieira struck Valencia off the ball and charged into the box. He then spotted Ronaldo's diagonal run getting on the wrong side of Boateng. Before he knew it, it was 3-2. Jack knew that while he was only a goal behind, the game was up for grabs. A patient build-up led to a shot by Neymar that was turned wide. With less than 10 minutes to play, Jack made it all square. A superb counter-attack and ball over the top to Bale wasn't dealt with by Ferdinand. The Welshman's shot was well saved, but the rebound fell to Lozano, who buried his chance. Groningen's power and energy were causing Hibs all sorts of problems though. Jack's win was second to every ball, and the inability to clear their lines resulted in a fourth, Lozano prodding it in from close range. Jack, however, is a battler and was a lick of paint away from making it 4 each when Bale's turn and shot skimmed the outside of the post. Groningen knew that this was a let-off and kept the ball in injury time to run down the clock. What a game.
Right, another action-packed game, another 7-goal thriller, and another game where you look at one of the competitors, Jack, and you're thinking, he gets goals, he's dangerous going forward, he's pretty decent in the middle of the park, but again, defensively, the errors are there and the errors have cost him his tournament place. Luke, what's going on, mate?
It's the same as every other week with Jack. He looks dominant starting and then he just seems to fade away. Nick played absolutely unreal at the start. Sort of got on Jack's back a little bit. And you could see Jack's, like, he was fighting for it. And you could tell that he wants it. He looks absolutely great as a player. But as I said, Nick was just too good for him at the start. And that's what made him sort of get into that zone where he was just fighting and fighting to have to win the game, and it just didn't come off.
But again, two competitors that defensively they're not great. You know, okay, fair enough. I know Groningen were basically cutting them like a hot knife through butter. But at the end of the day, he's got to be a bit concerned conceding 3 goals against a competitor that was bottom of the table. I know we've been waxing lyrical about Jack throughout the whole tournament and saying, you know, he's been a fantastic player. He's almost caused a lot of upsets, but at the same time it's got to be a bit concerning that someone who's, I wouldn't say that he's a rookie or a novice, but someone that's fairly inexperienced in comparison can take him to the wire like that, surely.
Yeah, I agree, but you got to look at it. If it's Ronaldo again, Ronaldo scored twice in this game for Nick, and he's an absolute animal. So I think anyone that can use Ronaldo properly is going to have the advantage on any game, whether you're a novice or whether you're a pro. If you know how to use this one guy, you're just going to rip through anyone. As you said about tearing him apart, it's that one man. It's a one-man show with Ronaldo.
Yeah, but the thing is, to be fair to Jack, the way I see it is that if he improves defensively, he will be a thorn in anyone's side. I mean, he already is. Let's be honest. He's taken teams to the wire, as I said before. But the thing is, the difference is, apart from the defensive aspect, is the power and pace that Nick has in his team. This is the fundamental difference. It's all well and good coming across a team that's very good defensively, but if you can overpower them and you've got that extra bit of pace, and as you said, you've got Ronaldo in there who is a monster, you can beat anyone. I just think that, again, goes back to what I said about the other teams in previous games. If you can keep the scoreline down in terms of conceding less goals, you've got a massive chance of winning the tournament. And this is a major concern for a lot of the players, in my opinion, because it doesn't seem to be happening. It's great, again, to see high-scoring games, but the art of defending, I don't know. I think the person, obviously, that concedes the least goals is going to win this tournament. I know it's such an obvious statement, but the person that's more defensively minded and defensively savvy is the one that's going to win the tournament, as far as I'm concerned. It's not who can score the most goals. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, it's very, very tough to defend on this game. They've changed it since FIFA 17. It's a new sort of game to adapt to for players, and some players are adapting quicker than others. As we see week in, week out, there's a lot of goals going in left, right and centre. I think it's just, as you just said, who can adapt the quickest and who can concede the less goals is who's going to win the tournament.
Great stuff. Well, guys, if you're watching still on the Facebook page, leave a comment. What do you think? Is the art of defending important in FIFA 18? What do you reckon? Will the team that concede the least goals win the competition? Or is it a case of get more than your opponent? Leave a comment. Randers has had the nightmare campaign and faced a very good final side. Could he get a victory and salvage some pride?
Jay Dalhuizen started on the front foot with a patient and controlled build-up but didn't commit too many men forward. Runners may have got men behind the ball but made the cardinal sin of backing off and ball watching. When Gareth Bale found Ronaldo in acres of space, no one tracked the Welshman's run. CR7 played him through and Bale crashed the ball past the keeper. Feyenoord's second came 7 minutes later. Valencia's upper body strength was too much for Alaba and found Ronaldo, who was able to cross the ball into the box unchallenged. The ball fell kindly to Pogba, who got in between both centre-backs and rolled it into the bottom corner. Goal number 3 for Feyenoord was similar to the first. Valencia combined well with Gullit before Henry threaded the ball to Pogba, who ran half the length of the pitch to fire home. Valencia started the move down the right hand side that almost led to a fourth. His ball to Henry was controlled well by the Arsenal legend and laid off to Gullit, who fired just wide. Ranners began the second half on the attack, pulling it back to 3-1. Son found Ronaldo, whose shot went between Blanc and Ferdinand and into the back of the net. It wasn't long before Feyenoord restored their 3-goal lead. A well-worked move involving Valencia, Gullit and Henry led to an unmarked Pogba shooting across the keeper and into the net. Runners wasn't going to go out without a fight, and Son had the keeper stretching to save his low shots. Ronaldo threatened to make it 5, but his shot was deflected over the bar. However, the resulting corner led to a fifth. A well-worked routine involving Valencia, Ferdinand. Runners came close to grabbing a second when a Gareth Bale free kick was palmed out by De Gea. Unfortunately for Dundalk, the corner came to nothing and the tournament ended with a heavy defeat.
So, 2 reasons for Feyenoord fans to celebrate this week. First of all, they brought back Robin van Persie. And now, Dalhuizen, Mr. J. Dalhuizen, gets a fantastic victory against one of the whipping boys, which I'm sorry to say. What do you make of the game, Luke?
One-sided. Started off very counter-attacking. Jay looked absolutely clinical. He was very, very dominant. He also passed the ball very well. He just didn't do nothing wrong, in my eyes. He played the perfect game. That's the way FIFA should be played, in an attacking way.
The thing is, for me, if I was Ranners, obviously, you know, Ranners is a good player, but I think he shows his opponents too much respect. That's the difference. You know, he's a good player. We've seen it. He can get forward. Okay, he relies on the counter-attack, and a lot of people do that, which is fine. He's very conservative in his approach, but he shows his opponents too much respect. And that's the fundamental difference between being a decent player and being an excellent world-class player that's going to win you tournament, time after time. He shows too much respect. He's a good player, but I think he needs to come out of that mindset where I'm playing against someone that is slightly better than me, and I'm just going to give him a bit too much respect, give him too much time on the ball, and boom, that's it. Your game is done. Game was over in the first 20 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was heavily in Jay's favour. As you said about him giving, how'd you put it, gave him a bit too much respect. You can't play FIFA that way, because it's just going to let you down so badly. If you give the opponent the first goal, then you're fighting, as I said earlier, about fighting to get back into the game, which is being on the back foot, which you just don't want to be in on this game, especially when defending is like it is, going back to our earlier comments. You just can't go. It's about scoring that first goal, and whoever scores that first goal is going to win the game, whether you're playing attacking or defensive.
Our final game is Wolves against Millenium, where a draw would see both teams go through. interesting matchup. Let's see how it went.
With Feyenoord being strong favourites to beat Dundalk in the other group game, Liga and champion Erosia had to avoid defeat against Wolves to qualify for round 2. It wasn't the best of starts for the French teenager when Wolves took the lead through Paul Pogba. Henri's ball should have been dealt with, but Hullit's loose back pass was punished by Pogba. Wolves made the most of Millenium's ropey defending, going 2 up in the 10th minute. Henri was given time and space to shoot, and his deflected shot fell to Ronaldinho, who rolled it into the far corner. Erosia then showed why he's one of Europe's best with a 5-man move, pulling it back to 2-1. Hernandez finishing off a great passing play. Five minutes later, it was all square. The quick passing move led to Ronaldo playing in Neymar, who broke the offside trap, making it 2 each. Wolves thought they went back in front through Henri, but the Frenchman was a few yards offside. Jake didn't have to wait long to go back in front. An 8-pass move from the restart led to a finesse shot by Ronaldo that went in off the post. As good as the goal was, Erosia will be disappointed he didn't close Ronaldo down and gave him acres of space. Henri's marauding run into the box almost led to a fourth, but his square ball across the 6-yard box was tidied up by Hullit. Erosia then equalised for the second time when Alessandrini's pass was finished off by Ronaldo 11 yards out. There was still time for Erosia to mount one more attack, but the danger was snuffed out. Both teams advanced to round 2.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You got 2 teams that only needed a draw to go through. What do? They just go at it. They don't care. Win, lose or draw, let's just go through it. This was a fantastic game. I was one of these people that sat there thinking, you know, they're going to play for the draw. They're going to take it easy on each other. Far from it, wasn't it?
Definitely far from it. It was probably one of the best games I've seen in this tournament so far. You got 2 players going at it, hammer and Tom. Literally, it's actually getting me excited just thinking about this right now, because you got Jake on one hand, who you can tell is an underdog, but he wants it so badly. Then you got the guy from Millenium, who's just playing absolutely unreal in the league also. They both needed a draw to go through, and they've both got that. But I think Jake went 2-0 up, and then the Millenium guy come back with 2 goals in quick succession. And that, for me, is what set this game out to be an absolute classic.
That's right. Well, look, both competitors are highly clinical in front of goal. I mean, Erosia, Liga and champion, he's got everything going for him. He's a teenager. He's still got a lot of years to go. Got a lot of experience under his belt as well. I was actually quite surprised that he actually went 2 goals down, because it just seems that his main problem appears to be very similar to a lot of the other guys, in the sense that he stands off opponents and gives them too much time on the ball. And as we saw with the Ronaldo goal outside the box, again, stood off him, gave him the chance to shoot from 25 yards. Okay, as a finesse shot from outside the box, which went in off the post. But again, you can't give players time on the ball, especially players of that quality. And I just hope that he kind of learns from this. Because, as I said, time and time again in this show, and I know our listeners or the viewers, again, probably bored of me repeating myself, but you've got to learn how to keep clean sheets. You've got to learn how to keep the score down. And you can't start that by giving people too much time on the ball. But yeah, he's one of my dark horses.
Yeah, he's a very, very talented player, Jake. Herozia, I'm just going to get onto a bit about this guy. As you said, League and champion under the team Millenium. Absolute exquisite managing staff under them, especially in the FIFA team. They've got many, many talented FIFA players under the roster. So this guy's destined for big things in reality. Whether that's going to come true or not, who knows? But this guy should be in for a lot of good things in his future. Jake, on the other hand, he hasn't been given the shot. Obviously, we've given him a shot to represent Wolves, and he has proven us absolutely correct in that decision in picking him. He's playing at the best of his form, which is something that I think could carry him, and I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities after this. When a lot of people actually recognise him as a player, I think he could be one of, as you said, he's a dark horse right now, but I hope to see him replicate it at events like Gfinity and, as I said, FEWC. I'd like to see what he's like at LAN, because he's got such a talent about him and it's just unrecognised, and that's just the biggest shame of them all.
Did he get a good victory in his opening game against Dundalk? Wasn't it the 5-1?
Yes, it was the 5-1.
And we were saying that, you know, it was a big shock and we didn't expect that to come from him. Well, if we look back at it now and look at the way he performed against Erosia, not a surprise anymore, is it?
No, not at all. We said he was going to be a dark horse, and he's just proved us right. One of my predictions that actually has come true, saying that.
Well done you. So, let's review the final standings of the groups. Let's see who went through. Group A, Footwiz and Team Reborn. Two teams that fought it. Hi, Maron. Let me start again. Two teams that went through quite comfortably. Luke, do you know anything about both these sides?
I know Dubsy from Footwiz, and I also know Radinho from Reborn. Two talented players. Radinho plays in the French league, the Orange Liga. Very, very talented player. Attended many events in France. Achieved quite a few victories, actually, saying that. Dubsy, relatively newcomer to the FIFA scene at a professional level, but he's turned so many heads this past few months, and he's an upcoming talent, and I would love to see more of this guy too. So I'm glad these two are going through to the next round.
On to Group B, where FC Twente and Jambo's West Ham qualify for the next round. We saw Jambo's victory against Northampton, which leapfrogged them over the club. Mate, what do you make of these two qualifiers? Because as I said before, Jambo really needs to sort out his defensive side of things, because he'll probably find himself going out in the next round.
Yeah, I'm quite shocked at this group, to be honest, because I said that Dragon and West Ham would go through. But obviously Emre has pulled it out the bag. Obviously we knew last week that Dragon was out the competition, and I did say that these two were probably the most likely to go through, so in all fairness, it's kind of not a shock.
Group C, now that was a tight group. Millenium and Wolverhampton Wanderers go through on 5 points at the expense of Feyenoord on 4. Again, Luke, tight group. Fair result though?
I'm not shocked by this one bit. After the performance that Jake and Herozia just put on, not shocked one bit. Both class players, and I think they both deserve to go through.
Now on to Group D and Group E, where Bochum and Den Haag qualified from Group D, and Excel and Groningen from Group E. Now, Excel are the only club to qualify on 9 points, maximum points. This, for me, makes Painter my choice for eventual winner of the tournament. Luke, I'm not going to ask you for your eventual winner because you just jinx everyone. But out of those 4 teams, who do you reckon has got the best chance of winning?
Painter, without a doubt, just from the style of football he plays. He looks very composed. He just looks like it's his playground, really, just like it's his yard. So who knows what's going to happen anything could happen. Look at the amount of goals going in each week, so I'm not going to be too confident, but I think Painter might just take this one on the edge.
On to Group F, where perhaps one of the biggest shocks occurred, whereby Goals Grazer won the group. Second place isn't Poacher. It's Veve Venlo of Nick, going through on goal difference by 2 goals. Now, when I saw the results, when I saw the group, I'm not going to lie to you, Luke, I was absolutely stunned. Because I expected Poacher to get through. What happened?
I can't really tell you. As again, I think it's just prep for the big event. I was not expecting this one bit. I was expecting Poacher to beat Grazer. So, nothing on Grazer. He's a talented player, very class, known him for absolute years. So, I'm just surprised that Poacher didn't progress just due to that. He's one of the best players in England right now. So.
Oh, absolutely. And listen, remember at the beginning of the tournament when Grazer lost 3-0, we were saying, can he win this? Can he win the next 2 games? Can he help his goal difference? Well, look, he won his next 2 games and he's got a goal difference of +2 and he won the group. So, fair play to the guy. This is a remarkable comeback. Got to take my hat off to him. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't knock his performances over the past 2 weeks. He's been an absolute incredible player to watch. And I'm just glad to see the old Grazer coming back now because he used to be such a talented individual. And when he was with Excel, he was just a masterclass, placing second at Gfinity, play like a legend. So I'm just happy to see him back because as a friend, I'm just ecstatic for him. Hopefully that he can win the league again this year like he did last year.
But this is about mentality. This is about a winning mentality and never say die attitude. You know, he could have just turned around and said, right, I've lost my first game 3-0. I've got no chance of coming back. But you know what? He knuckled down. He got the results that he wanted. And he deserves to go through. As far as I'm concerned, someone who can come back from a 3-0 deficit, losing your first game, and to win the group, convincingly win the group at that. That's fantastic.
That's hunger and desire for you. If you want it that badly, you'll go and get it. And that's exactly what this young lad's proven.
That's right. On to Group G, where Terrassa win the group, 7 points. Excelsior with 6. Now, Excelsior have a fantastic goal difference of +11. But that's probably because they gave New Saints a bit of a trouncing in one of the earlier games. What do you make of that group, Luke? It's quite an interesting one, to be fair. Went under the radar a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, massively went under the radar. It was a good little group. Unfortunately, New Saints sort of gave it away last week when he conceded like 6 or 7 goals. But I think I gave my predictions last week and it come through this week. So I'm not shocked at this group, but I think it deserves a bit more recognition than what it has got.
Excellent. On to our final group and Group H, where Stark Esports and For FIFA's Sake qualify on 9 points and 6 points respectively. Now again, 2 superb players in Prowns and Lewis, and I'm sure Luke knows a lot more about them than I do. So go on, mate, what can you tell me about these two? Are they in with a shout of winning the tournament?
Without a doubt, anyone's in with a shout of winning the tournament. It's going to blow open in the knockouts next week. Prowns, he's a wonder kid from Germany. The guy's unreal. As I said last week, he was such a talent to watch. The way he played his football, it's just he's on another level, and I want to see him at an event this year without a doubt. And Lewis has just come into competitive FIFA. I want to see him go out with a bang, to be honest, because this guy can play when he wants to play. I'm telling you, he'll pull shocks off, because obviously when I was in For FIFA's Sake, he was beating pros on pros on pros just like that. So anything can happen. This guy can put 9 goals past you and think nothing of it. His attack is unreal.
So he's pretty lethal then.
Yeah, he can be. If you watch some of his Foot Champs games on his channel, you'll see how incredibly clinical this guy can be.
Fantastic, brilliant. Well, guys, those of you still watching, leave a comment. Which player do you think will win the tournament? Who do you fancy? Who has been your tournament player so far? It's been an interesting group stage. It's been an absolutely fantastic advert for the sport. So leave your comments below and tag your friends in it.
So, with the current standards out of the way, I'd like to venture into 2 of the most highly anticipated matches for the top 16. So we will be kicking it off with Lewis v Grazer. There's an incredible amount of potential here for an explosive game, featuring two exceptional styles of play, including attack and defence. I can't fathom the level of class going to be shown in this match. Both in attacking and defending, it's going to be exciting to see who can keep the clean sheets and concede as little goals as possible. I honestly can't call this one, but as it stands, Grazer, as the reigning champion, has the slight upper hand. He's been in situations like this before, but can he keep his cool and his head versus the oncoming onslaught of the man trying to dethrone him in Lewis? We'll have to wait and see, but this is definitely going to be an insane match. Throwing the ball over now to the second game, we find West Ham's Jambo vying for position against Megabit of Bochum. What I feel is the most anticipated game of the tournament. It's going to be absolute world-class football. Two opponents going head-to-head on the big stage. This could have been a grand final game, so we're lucky to have seen it earlier on. I think with Megabit's experience, he can definitely make it to the finals, but we've seen what Jambo can do. He's my dark horse for this match, and if he stops conceding goals, Megabit will need a fire brigade standing beside him to put Jambo out. This could go either way, and we could be in for a shock, so you definitely do not want to miss this one out 100%.
And that's it for another edition of the Global E-League show. I'd like to thank my co-host Luke for his fantastic analysis. And thank you guys for watching. Feel free to give us a follow on Twitter at global_E-Leagues. And we'll be back next week. Until next time, take care.